One.
Tom Brady takes on Patrick Mahomes in a highly anticipated Super Bowl. Arenado gets traded to the Cardinals in a blockbuster trade. A new team sits atop the NBA power rankings. In the local news, we'll discuss the Seahawks offense and how Shane Waldron will fit the system. I'm your host, Cody Coover, and you're watching Northwest Sportscast.
Yeah. Seattle stand out.
All right. So I think first we're going to do Super Bowl. So we got Levi, Drew, and Seth, and of course me. So we talked about the Super Bowl a lot over the past few weeks, but again, what are you guys' predictions? Levi?
Well, for me, as I've said on our full Super Bowl prediction video, which you guys can check out, but I'm keeping it as the same predictions that I had last week. The Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the best team right now. I have no reason to not think that. So for me, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, Drew.
I think the Chiefs are better than the Bucks. However, I think the Bucks will get the Chiefs in this game. I just think Tom Brady is going to have a lead going to the second half, and I don't think Tom Brady's one to give up leads in the Super Bowl. He's one of the most clutch QBs of all time. He's done this before. I know Patrick Mahomes has done it last year, and repeated teams don't come often. That often. Last time was a long time ago, so I'm just going to go with the Bucks purely because of Tom Brady, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to repeat. However, I wouldn't be surprised, but my educated guess would be the Bucks.
All right, Seth.
Yeah, I think the Bucks will definitely stay in this game for a while, but the Chiefs are the better team. Mahomes is, he's better at the moment than Brady, and he will be better in his. He's better now. I'm not sure we'll get past Brady's career, but this will be a step in the right direction for Mahomes. I think the Chiefs will definitely win this one over the Bucks. It might even be a 2-score game. I think it actually could end up being a little bigger margin than I said at the start. So, Chiefs are definitely win this one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Chiefs will win.
Yeah.
Okay, so what QB, in your guys' opinion, is better?
I guess I'll go first. I would probably say Patrick Mahomes, but in this situation, it's really, really close, to be honest with you. Tom Brady obviously done this before 9 other times. Patrick Mahomes has done this once last year, and in all honesty, didn't play great for 3 quarters, but turned it on for the 4th quarter. And I think that it's really, really even. I want to give an advantage to either quarterback.
Well, of course, you can use the experience card as an argument. That makes sense. Brady's done this many, many times. But Mahomes is a better player. He's more skilled at this point in his career. He's better than Brady. Brady's getting up there in age. We know that, of course. And he's just not the player he used to be. Yes, he has a very dynamic offense, but quarterback-wise, I'm taking Mahomes 100% of the time over Brady for this game.
Yeah, for me, it's the same thing. Patrick Mahomes, we've seen him do it. The guy makes plays that nobody else can make. Tom Brady is good, and he's a great fit for the Buccaneers, and he's a great leader for the Buccaneers. That's why they're in the Super Bowl. But Mahomes makes plays that nobody else makes. So I have to take Patrick Mahomes.
And actually, Miles wants to say his prediction really quickly. He's in the room with me. Miles, what's the prediction?
I just have one thing to say. I think the Chiefs are going to take it. That's all.
How much?
It's going to be close, but they're still probably at least 7 points.
And who's better, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady?
Patrick Mahomes.
There you have it. There's Miles's quick predictions.
Yeah.
Same as Seth and Levi. More so Seth. He's on the same ballpark. Patrick Mahomes is clearly better, and he'll win pretty easily. Levi, how close did you say the game was going to be again? You said it was going to be pretty close, right?
My prediction is a 9-point game. I have the Chiefs winning 30-21.
Yeah, So not even one.
I just don't see this Bucks defense now with injuries. Levante David might not even play. Their leader of the defense. Maybe Jordan Whitehead won't play. How are they going to stop this Chiefs offense? I don't know. I think the Chiefs
But-
can actually get a stopper too.
But Steph, the Packers are arguably the best offense
All right.
too coming into this game, and they shut down
The
Aaron
Chiefs
Rodgers.
have the best offense in the entire league. That doesn't matter. The Packers should maybe
Hey, guys.
statistical wise.
Packers are up there though. What are the final rankings? Packers, I'm sure.
The
It's
Chiefs
two.
can exceed 50.
I'm sure Packers is
I
two.
get the ranking, but I just think the Chiefs are just so close. They can drop 50 almost any day.
Okay. So yeah, I have to agree that Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. Overall, though, like career wise, obviously Tom Brady's better. Which coach do you think is better? Yeah.
Excuse me. Well, for me, I would have to go with Coach Andy Reid on the Chiefs because of the long-term success he's had, and because I believe since he went to the Chiefs, they have made the playoffs every year besides one. I might be wrong on that, maybe two, but since he went to the Chiefs, I believe he went there in 2013. They have been pretty consistently good. Bruce Arians has had his moments, but at the same time, he's also had down years. Just look at last year. With almost the same exact Bucks team, besides switching out a tight end and a quarterback named Gronk and Brady. This was almost the exact same team, and they won
Gronk
7
and Brady make
games.
a difference, though.
What about this, Cody?
Gronk and Brady make that big of a difference. Especially
Well,
Brady.
that's what I'm saying is if just a quarterback and a tight end can elevate them from 7 to 13 wins, clearly the coach is not as that much of an impact.
Yeah, so it's kind of this is really I'm not sure why this is even being asked. We've heard Arians admit that he gives the offense to Brady. He doesn't really do anything. He's kind of lazy. He lets Brady run the offense, and Andy Reid's been to now 4 Super Bowls combined. I know only one's a head coach, but he has 3 Coach of the Year awards. Been in the playoffs nearly every time in his career, and he's obviously just a better all-around coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to say Andy Reid's obviously the clear choice. I would disagree that Arians does nothing. I find it hard to believe that a head coach does nothing. I'm sure Brady has a lot of influence.
I mean, Arians said that sometimes I just sit back and let Brady do the offense.
Yeah, he did say that, but I'm sure he has a 20-play game plan going into the games. I'm sure he still has input into the offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were times this season where I did not like Arians as a coach. Like Levi wanted Arians to get fired at one point in the season. I mean,
oh yeah, Arians is clearly way worse than my God, I'm really tired. Andy Reid. So I'm gonna have to go with Andy Reid on this one. But Arians does have a little bit of input. And just to answer who's the better offense, the Chiefs do have more yards this year. The Packers do have more points. And that is partially to do just how good Aaron Rodgers played. But I'm just saying if the Buccaneers
the Bucks and the Chiefs.
a way to stop the Packers like they did the Chiefs, they have a good shot. I just don't know if they can, but I'm gonna think they will be able to. Levi, do you think the Bucks will be able to stop the Chiefs like they did against the Packers?
I don't think they'll be able to stop the Packers or stop the Chiefs the way they stopped the Packers. I think the Chiefs have the best offense that's been clicking right now. And I think the Bucks probably have the second best offense that's been clicking right now. That's why they're in the Super Bowl. That's why these two teams have made it. I think that in this Super Bowl, the defense of the Bucks is not going to win them a championship. It's going to be the story will be Patrick Mahomes and his offense.
okay, well, here's my opinion. There's 3 giant Bucks players. Their 2 best young secondary players and their leader on the defense are all questionable and or doubtful. So if none of them play, then this team actually might get blown out. If all 3 of these guys end up actually playing, Levante David, Whitehead, and Antoine Winfield Jr., the guys I'm referring to, if they can all end up playing, then yes, this might be a closer game than I expect. This could be a 1-score game, but I think that the Chiefs will definitely explode this Bucks defense if those guys are out.
All right. I suppose coach is better, but I'd say that Andy Reid is better too. Okay, so you move on to this giant trade that happened. Nolan Arenado is on the Cardinals. Yeah. So I think you guys traded for like prospects. I don't really know the full details, but yeah. So
It's an interesting trade here, judging by the fact that the Cardinals are actually being paid $50 million to take on Nolan Arenado. So the Rockies basically decided that why are we going to pay the best one of the best third basemen in the MLB so much money while we are the worst in our division? So instead of trying to build around Nolan Arenado and trying to make winning moves, they decided instead, let's trade him, free up a bunch of payroll, and also lose the best player, possibly the best player our franchise will ever have. Not a very good move, in my opinion, by the Rockies, but for the Cardinals, this is great. They gave up a major league pitcher who's probably a middle end of the rotation sort of guy, considering that most pitchers do really bad on the Rockies. This is not going to help the Rockies that much. And then they gave up 4 prospects, none of which were considered top 100. So honestly, the Cardinals are sitting really well right now with this move. And
Yeah.
everyone kind of agrees that they stole it. The Rockies, they are content now with last place. They have basically 2 good players left on their team, and I don't even know who the rest of their players are.
Yeah, 100% agree. The Rockies, what are they doing? This is just a dumb move. They're now out of contention. They're going to be bottom of the league, most likely, like you said. And the Cardinals, this is a win now move. I think they didn't make the playoffs last year. They snuck in during that playoff format. Now they have Goldschmidt and Arenado. That's just a dynamic, hitting duo right there, 2 of the best hitters in baseball. And this team can make a far run, I think.
Yeah. I don't know how much salary do they take in from this deal?
He's being paid a lot. I don't know the exact numbers. I can look it up if you want.
So
But-
I would guess that the Rockies would take the majority of his salary. So maybe I'm sorry, the Cardinals would take the majority of his salary. So maybe the Rockies were thinking some sort of freeing up some space and then
8-year,
signing
$260
yeah.
million.
So the deal is he's being paid $35 million a year, and basically the way they worked it out is that the Cardinals will be paying 30 mil and the Rockies will pay the other 5 mil. So
Okay.
for the next 6
not
years,
bad.
the Rockies are still going to be paying 5 mil to this guy who's on the Cardinals. That was part of the deal that worked out for the Cardinals. I think they must have needed to save a little bit of cap space.
So obviously with these trades all the time in the MLB, right? You get prospects, quote unquote, and even though they're not top 100 prospects, that doesn't mean they're not going to be a great future MLB player. However, this is a great trade for the Cardinals as they are in a win now sort of mode. But from the Rockies' point of view, if you don't think you're going to win the World Series this year or in the next 2 or 3 years, right? I don't really see any reason you do keep Arenado, right? You free up some space, maybe for future. You get some prospects that you're maybe really pleased about, think that are ranked a little lower than what you possibly view them as. And in all honesty, for what the Rockies are trying to do, and that's kind of a half sort of rebuild thing where they'll be back at it in 2-3 years or whatever. This isn't the worst move in the world. It's not a good move, but it's not the worst move in the world. Quick stats, Arenado in 2019, the last full season, he had a 315 batting average, which is absolutely insane. He played 155 games. He had 41 home runs. Last year, 2020, obviously only 48 games played. He had only a 253 batting average, which could just because of a shorter season. He did decline a little bit last year, but I'm sure he'll be back. He's only 29 years old. And I think this is not a terrible move for either side, like some of the analysis are saying it is. But I would definitely give the win to the Cardinals for this trade. So that's the deal.
All right. Do you guys think that Arenado is the best third baseman in the league? Okay.
To be honest, he might be. I mean, the other ones that come to mind, just right off the bat, I think of Manny Machado, and then I think of Justin Turner and Eugenio Suarez also on the Reds. That's true. Alex Bregman also on the Astros. But I would honestly say that, yeah, I do think Nolan is the best.
Jose Ramirez.
Ramirez, yeah, that's true. Ramirez is very good. Ramirez might be number 2 for me, actually, but I would say Arenado number 1.
Yeah, it's really subject to your opinions and stuff, but Just for context, let's just see what I want to see. The one list has Anthony Rendon first, then Alex Bregman, then Nolan Arenado, then Jose.
Is that their top 10 right now?
Yeah, as of 5 days ago, they have Anthony Rendon, Alex Bregman.
They put Rendon at one. See, I can understand putting Bregman at 1, but I don't know if I understand Rendon at 1. That's interesting.
Yeah, Nolan Arenado at 3, Ramirez at 4, which I'm a big fan of. I love Jose. Manny Machado at 5, I think it's a little high. Justin Turner at 6, I guess. Matt Chapman at 7, Josh Donaldson at 8, Gio Urshela at 9, and Eugenio Suarez from the Reds at 10.
Yeah. So I think we're all in agreement. He is a top 5 third baseman. The interesting thing is, this was actually supposedly a deal that was being done last year, and then it never went through last year, and he stayed with the Rockies. But then this year they picked it right back up and did it. And up until they did this deal, do you guys know how much money the NL Central had spent
in total?
In free agency and trades? The NL Central had added a grand total of, I believe it was $6 million.
Wow, that's
between all 5 teams. They added $6 million, and now the Cardinals picking up a $230 million 6 years for Arenado.
Yeah.
So you know the Cardinals in
the NL Central.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that.
Yeah,
who do you guys think is gonna win the NL Central? Drew, you can talk what you're gonna say.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think it's a good move, just because what Levi said. I think that the Cardinals have a great chance of winning it, just because it seems like they saw an opportunity that the other teams in their division aren't really taking advantage of this offseason as much as some of the other teams in the MLB, and then they jumped on it. And it's like, okay, if you guys aren't going to get better than we are this year, and we're going to try to go win the NL Central. Just really quickly, that was the average that I listed, but 4 of the lists that they averaged, only one of them has Nolan Arenado at 1. The other 3 all have Anthony Rendon, which is really interesting. I agree with Levi that he's more of like a number 3, 4, but it's interesting how many people do believe that Anthony Rendon is the top third baseman in the league.
For me, I think the reason that I would give Arenado the edge is because of his defense. Maybe it's because I just haven't seen as much of Rendon's defense, but I've seen the Gold Glove highlight reels of Arenado, and I think he has 3 or 4 Gold Gloves at this point. I feel like that might give him a very slight edge over Rendon. They're both phenomenal hitters. Both of them hit for a lot of power, good average, lots of RBIs. Both all-star caliber.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so who do you think is going to win the NL Central?
For me, I would take the Cardinals. I think it's probably still pretty close between them and the Cubs, but I would take the Cardinals. Probably win 85 games, but this is not a very good division. Not a ton of great star players right now, but I do think the Cubs have a little bit of potential, because if Javier Baez and Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo, if those 3 guys can bounce back to the way that they played 2 and 3 years ago, then the Cubs would be a 90-95 win team. The problem is the past 2 seasons, all 3 of those players have been kind of in a slump, and that's really hurt the Cubs, but they still have them under contract for the next 3 or 4 years. So any year the Cubs could break out, but I would take the Cardinals right now. I think they have a great young.
Yeah, I think this move
with Goldschmidt and Arenado.
Yeah, this move puts the Cardinals over the top. I think they'll win this division, like Levi said. The Diamondbacks aren't a baseball team. Of course, the Rockies just got worse, and like you said with the Cubs, all of their guys who were on that World Series team a couple years back are now in slumps or just getting older, and they're on contracts. They could have big years, but I still think the Diamondbacks are the best team in this division. Cardinals, not Diamondbacks.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to very slightly disagree with you guys. I'm gonna go with the Brewers to win, just really close by maybe a couple of games. I just think that the Brewers just have something special in them. Obviously went to the playoffs last season. The Cardinals did not, correct?
I think they did. They were like the 7 or 8 seed.
They
though.
did, but the Brewers won that division, right?
It was. I think you're right. Yeah, the Brewers won that. If I'm
Brewers did.
correct, there was 3 or 4 teams from that division all made the playoffs.
But the
But
Brewers,
none of them- the Brewers won a playoff series, I think. So they went the furthest. Yeah.
All right.
anyways, I think last season the Brewers were the best team. I think they're going to continue really quick, really close. Just for reference, MLB.com has the Cardinals at 79 wins, winning the division with a 79-83 record. So with a losing record under 500, they have been winning the division. Brewers at 77 wins, Cubs at 76, Reds at 75, and Pirates at 64. So the fourth place
They're all
team,
like around the same.
yeah, the fourth place team, Reds, is only 4 wins behind the Cardinals. So what I'm getting from is this is pretty much anyone's division other than the Pirates, which is really fascinating.
Yeah.
I started divisions are on accident, but I still got to go with the Cardinals. I think we're a big team.
Okay, we're gonna move on from the Nolan Arenado and Cardinals and just talk a little bit about the MLB, what the season's gonna look like. So the Players Association has projected the 154 game season. Am I right about that? That's what they were doing?
They've rejected it. So
Yeah, they rejected it. So it's gonna start on time, 462 games.
yeah, to add context to this,
Expanded playoffs. Yeah, that's
the MLB put out they put out a statement saying, look, we don't think we can start the season on time. We don't have the infrastructure in place. We just want to start on April 29th. It'll be 154 games. And by the way, the NL is going to have a DH, and you guys are going to do a 7-team expanded playoff. And the MLB Players Association looked at the statement and said, nope. So they voted it down and sent their response back and said, sorry, we're not doing this. So now the MLB sent out a new statement saying they are going to start the season on, I think it's April 2nd, so the original opening day, and there will not be a DH in the NL at the time, although they are still open to that discussion. And there also will not be an expanded playoff format. It's going to be back to the 5-team playoff format per league. And then the other thing is that the players apparently were unhappy with the fact that the MLB's proposed schedule was going to make them play a lot of double headers. Now they don't have to do those double headers, so it's going to be the full 6.5 months, however many months it is, but it's the actual full schedule, the way that they originally made it. So what do you guys think about this? Are they in the right to basically shut down the league's proposal?
Interestingly, I'm going to have to side with both the players and the owners in this situation. I do think that they should play a full season how it was intended, not with all the doubleheader stuff. Although COVID is a different year, I do like how the owners want an expanded playoff format, just simply because I think it's more fun when more teams are in the playoffs, and the MLB is kind of the last league really to realize that more teams in the playoffs is more fun for the fans. It gets people more interested in the sport, because if you're a team like the Mariners, right, if there was an expanded playoff format 10 years ago, we would have made the playoffs 2 or 3 times, and that would have brought in a lot of Mariners fans and just all around the MLB. I really like the expanded playoff format. It gives teams like the Mariners a shot at making it, and it just gives hope to a lot of franchises that are a bottom 10 team going into the season, and then they do something to look forward to. So I like the expanded playoff format, but I do think that it should be a full season. But I do see where the players are coming from, like to be traditional and stuff. I saw a study where it's like baseball, like over the 160 games, it's the most skilled sport because it's like a big average, right? If you do something 160 times, usually the better team's going to win. But baseball, if you do just a 5-game series or a 1-game series, unlike in basketball or football, the better team loses way more than the worst team. in baseball in just a 1 or 5 game series compared to football or basketball, because of all pitching rotations and stuff like that. So I do see where they're coming from, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, I would definitely agree that 162 games is better. Although, to be honest, I feel like 154 would be fine also. Although the doubleheader thing, that would be a problem. And considering that I'm sure there will be COVID breakouts in different ball clubs that will end up having to cause doubleheaders anyways, we'll probably still see our fair share of doubleheaders this season. As far as the playoffs, I actually have to disagree with Drew. I think that it is better with 5. And my reasoning for that is basically sort of Drew already gave me the evidence. They play so many games that by the time 162 games is up, it's pretty clear who the top 5 teams are in most years. Now, yeah, there's some years where there's a battle on the last day for that final wild card spot. The Mariners obviously experienced that.
Most years.
Yeah, about maybe like every other year. And there's usually a team that's still alive into the last week almost every year. There's at least one team that's still alive. But in the end, it is pretty clear that who the top 5 or 6 teams are. The fact that they had 8 last year, I understand why they did it last year, was because there's only 60 games. And I think this year it's probably a good idea to go back to 5. And then if they want to expand back to 7 or 8, then have a vote and see what the Veterans Association and what the Players Association wants. I feel like there is still a good chance that they could end up doing that in the end, but sometime in the future. And at the same time, what do you guys think about the players voting down the DH rule? It seems like the league also, by the way, the league offered a separate deal saying we'll give you the DH in the NL if you give us our expanded playoffs to get the extra revenue. And the players actually turned it down.
At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, there's not too much of a point in the DH. I mean, they've had no DH in the AL or they've had no DH in the AL for a long time, and there's no reason to change it just because of last season. So I honestly don't think it really matters at all.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think
I don't really understand why they would want what's the difference? Like, why?
Yeah, I agree.
The players want to add a DH to the NL, I think, but
to keep it consistent.
They would rather not have a DH if it means they get to keep their 5 game.
Wait, don't the NL already have a DH and the AL doesn't have a DH?
No, the AL has it. The NL does not.
So the Mariners in the AL?
The Mariners in the AL, dude. Come on.
Oh.
So just really quick is just, I think that what's going on right now is completely fine. I think it gives kind of interesting dynamic when a pitcher has to come up to the plate. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, so do I.
It keeps baseball traditional, which in most cases makes it kind of slow and not as fun. But I love watching a pitcher hit, especially when the AL goes to an NL stadium and I see, Felix Hernandez hit a grand slam or whatever that was like 10 years ago. That was pretty cool. And if we get rid of the non-DH, then we'll never have that again. But I do see where they're coming from. It just keeps things more consistent, but I'm honestly fine either way.
Yeah. All right. Looks like Cody, our next topic. You got it for us?
Yes. So
rumors.
We're talking about NFL QB trade rumors. So I think first we'll talk about Rodgers a little bit.
We'll keep this pretty short, but let's ask Drew. Drew, what's your take? Do you think that Aaron Rodgers will be traded, or will he stay in Green Bay?
I've had the pleasure of watching a lot of Pat McAfee, and he's pretty close with Aaron Rodgers. They're the only sports show that really consistently gets Aaron Rodgers interviews, 45-minute long interviews called Aaron Rodgers Tuesday. That's beside the point, though. He basically said that he doesn't feel as if he wants to leave Green Bay, but there's no certains. And he said that he doesn't want to leave Green Bay, but he's going to have the same talk he has every offseason with the owners about his future. And if something happens, it happens. And it's not going to be, if he gets traded, it's basically not going to be just his decision. It's going to be that he really wants a weapon and they don't want to give it to him, and it makes him really need to leave. And I see where he's coming from. But I think if Aaron Rodgers gets another weapon and the Packers organization isn't stupid about this, Aaron Rodgers is going to stay another year, just based off what I've seen in the interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
well, I think that Aaron Rodgers, there is a small chance he doesn't get traded, and I mean, I agree. Maybe he should be traded. He's done everything for Green Bay. He could. They don't give him a weapon. They got the QB instead. Then they'll give him a chance to win a game in the NFC Championship game. He's gonna. I get why he's frustrated. I understand, but I think there's still a pretty good shot that he does not end up getting chipped because. I mean, he still has 3 years left in his contract, and maybe they say, "Hey, Aaron, we're gonna go out and we're gonna either trade or sign or even draft a new weapon for you to help you out with his offense this year." And they figure out a way to talk him to stay and help him, give him what he wants. If they let him have more control over what they do this offseason, there's a very, very good chance that he stays there if they just communicate with each other and they really just like play off each other, like the GM, owner, and him, or not owner, maybe just GM and him. But I don't think there's a likely chance he gets traded. That would be one of the biggest trades ever. And if he does get traded, then that'd be crazy. And I'd love to see him get traded, go to a new team besides Green Bay. But I don't see I don't see a super high possibility that he does.
Where would he get traded if he does?
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't know. There's lots of teams.
All right. Well, let's move on to this one. Trade rumors involving Jimmy Garoppolo and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
What do you guys think of this?
Jimmy G, Kirk Cousins. I'm just really just based off the 49ers. I'm just going to talk about 49ers really, really quickly. Imagine if Aaron Rodgers goes to the 49ers. We'll have Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Aaron Rodgers in the same division. How the heck is that going to work out? The worst quarterback is going to be Matthew freaking Stafford, and he's like a top 10 quarterback amongst a lot of people. He's a really good quarterback. That would just be that'd be absolutely insane. And then if you put Kirk Cousins to that, Kirk Cousins obviously would be the worst out of the 4, but he's still a really, really respectable quarterback. But
that's where I might disagree. When you look,
I wouldn't get scared of him.
Did you know that Kirk Cousins is actually 3rd all time among qualifiers in completion percentage?
Yeah, very respectable QB. But when the lights the brightest,
you know that he's never had a season with less than 7 wins.
Yeah, but how many playoff teams has he led to an NFC Championship?
How many has Matt Stafford led to an NFC Championship?
I'm not making.
That's off topic.
I'm not making the claim that
Stafford's great.
Well, I'm just saying, if Cousins goes to the 49ers, Matt Stafford would probably still be, in my opinion, the worst quarterback.
Okay, but that's besides the point. On the trade, though, I don't think this is a very big of an upgrade for the Niners to do. I think you just keep Jimmy G, and you can't really do this trade straight up. I don't think the Vikings would accept that. But no, is there a point for you to give up Stafford and a pick? No.
What pick would you do?
Or not Stafford, Garoppolo and a pick? I don't think you would do that. I think
no,
Garoppolo.
What pick would make it acceptable, Seth? Like a 3rd?
The thing that I've seen is a 3-way.
Yeah, it'd probably be like Garoppolo and a 3rd for Cousins. And I don't think you shouldn't do that.
I would do that. I would not do a 1st. I would do a 3rd.
Cousins isn't that much better than Garoppolo, if at all.
He is. He's a 3rd round pick better. He's a 3rd round pick
better than Garoppolo. I would say he's definitely better.
He is definitely better. But he's not a 1st round pick better. He's a 3rd round pick better.
Garoppolo gets hurt every year, so that's why Cousins. All right. Next up, new day circulating about Derek Carr. Apparently, the Raiders have had multiple teams inquiring about trading for Derek Carr, which has opened up the rumors. Now rumors are flying about Derek Carr being traded. I had not even known about this until today. Do you think, really quick, just give me a 2-word answer, Seth and then Drew, does he get traded?
Can I do more than 2 words?
You can have seconds.
Okay, well, it's only that they might end up trying to trade Carr and pursue Watson.
Good. Okay, Drew?
Drew, do you think that actually will happen?
It will end up happening, but he's not talented enough to actually make it happen because he always loses at the end of the year when they're trying to make a playoff spot.
Okay. And now let's move on to Watson. Who may be going to the Raiders, apparently.
Really?
I mean, that's the rumor, is that they will trade Carr.
That's interesting. I would do that.
Watson.
If I was Watson, I would totally take that deal if the 49ers are on the board. The 49ers obviously is the most intriguing option. They're one quarterback.
No, he still wants to go to the Jets. That's his number 1 option. He wants to go to the Jets.
The other option is if Rodgers gets traded away from Green Bay, Chicago becomes a really favorable spot for Watson because that division would be wide open.
Yeah.
The Bears.
If I'm Watson and Rodgers is gone, you're going to
the Bears
Chicago.
have the best defense, and then they could also get the best quarterback in that division. I mean, that's a clear choice. But right now, Rodgers is still obviously with the Packers. So the Broncos, Washington football team, and Panthers are all also considered to be possible landing spots, as well as the Cowboys, who are looking into it. And
Not the 49ers.
oh yeah, you've already said the 49ers though.
Oh, okay.
And then also, as Seth mentioned, the Jets and the Dolphins are also considered to be landing spots. So a lot of teams that are potentially, supposedly going to be potential landing spots for Deshaun. Most likely team, Cody.
I would say, for me, the Jets.
Mhm.
I mean, controversial, obviously. Might not even, no trades would happen with them. But,
How about you, Drew, Seth? Most likely team that he's with.
What
Most
I
likely
would
in the-
go
most,
ahead.
you go.
most likely team that Watson ends up on. What do you think, Drew?
Okay, I guess I'll go. If I was Watson, I would say 1 49ers, 2 Raiders, 3 Dolphins, if that's an option. But I think he's gonna go to the Jets because the Jets just have too much trade capital compared to the other teams.
And Seth?
I mean, just the most likely option seems like the Jets. I mean, they can make a very, very good trade there. But do I want? I mean, he wants to go there too, so that probably is the most likely option. Possibility.
It's just what I'm coming from is really quickly. He's trying to get out of a bad situation in Houston, and he thinks the Jets is that much better of a good situation. Like,
I mean, it is. It definitely is because
I mean, I don't know if it really is because the Jets really
I
suck.
don't think it is.
you have the most cap. You have the most cap space in the entire league.
Yeah, but they're still 2 or 3 years away from being a contender.
You have multiple first-round draft picks. If you're going to trade one of them at least for Watson, but
The
yeah,
other
but
thing
draft picks can only get you so far. They're rookies. They won't be like prime till at least 3
and
years.
the other thing is the AFC South is in prime position for Watson to win because I mean the Colts they're all right, but they missed Stafford, so they don't even know who their quarterback will be. The Titans.
he's not going to win with. You think he's going to win with Houston? He's not going to win with Houston.
Of course, he can win with Houston.
No,
He can't.
No,
Why
you won't.
can't
Unless
he?
they get a weapon.
Houston's
Why can't he?
team is garbage. They
Yeah, but
totally
Houston-
destroyed the team. The defense sucks, and now
Houston-
the offense sucks too. What are you
Seth,
talking
Seth,
about?
Seth,
If
the
Deshaun
Jets
stays in
suck.
Houston, that team is the worst in the division.
That might not even be true. Seth, all they need is a couple free agents. The Jets had a worse record. Let me remind you, the Jets had a worse record than Houston last year.
I know that.
And the year before that. And the year before that.
Darnold.
And
Guys,
just
Oh my
quickly counter to
goodness.
Seth and Levi. The Jets do have a lot of first round draft picks, but they trade a lot of those to get Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, they trade all of them.
A lot of those picks that Seth is claiming they'll have, they actually won't have, and Houston will have. And going back to Levi's point of Houston being a contender in that division with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year, and he still couldn't even make a dent in that division. So how do you expect him? What do you want him to be? Super, like he's already being superhuman. Now you want him to be God to literally win that division. There's no way.
It's really not that hard for them to sign a couple of players.
They don't have any cap. They have like 16 million. That's like one good player.
Yeah.
So then get rid of some of your players that you're paying too much and change it. Within 1 year, the Texans could go from first to first pretty easily, in my opinion.
Okay, let's start moving on, okay?
All right, Cody, what do you got?
So, I think next, I'm just going to read off the Levi made a top 10 sports headcasts.
Sports headlines in Northwest
Headlines.
Sports, dude. Come on,
Northwest
get it right.
Yeah. So, if you really have something to say, you can say it, but hopefully we can go quickly through these. Number 10, we have the Huskies. Finally won a game. They're in 2-8, 11th in the Pac-12. So,
Or still got a chance.
And the current news right now is that the Pac-12 might not even have a tournament. It's still on right now, but they may not have it. So the Huskies, they have nothing to play for right now. And yeah, Steph makes a good point. Cody, you should talk a little bit louder. It's hard to hear you. All right,
okay.
Number 9.
Next, we have Derek Jones Jr. of the Blazers is going to miss brief time due to the injury. He's starting to be a big piece in Blazers, so hopefully we'll get him back pretty soon.
Yeah,
Alright.
shouldn't have too much of an impact though.
Yeah. Then we got Hisashi Iwakuma is back as a pitcher's coach for the Mariners.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, that's
That's cool. How old?
Special
I
assistant.
feel like he'd still be playing.
I think somewhere in his upper 30s right now.
He seems really young, but I mean, good to have
Yeah.
him back. But
Yeah.
all right. We got John.
John
What?
Lumsden, I'm pretty sure his name is.
Oh, John Lunson. He's to be the new announcer for the Kraken, Seattle Kraken.
nice.
Yeah, he's been doing. I think he's been doing lower league hockey for about 20 years now, so should be experienced working for Root Sports now with the Kraken. Yeah.
All right, then an Oregon skier, Tommy Ford, is injured. He's gonna miss the rest of the season.
Tommy Ford, as we've talked about quite a bit, I've talked about him on the podcast, being injured. Pretty sad for him. He was off to a really good season. I think he was like top 10 in the world, in fact. Now out for the rest of the year with an injury on the giant slalom. So sad to see for Tommy Ford, who I was definitely rooting for to win. He was really close to the top of the podium. And now out for the year. Drew, you're muted.
Okay.
I don't know if you're trying to talk, but you're muted.
I said rip Tommy.
Yeah.
Love that.
Okay, next we got the Mariners are adding Taylor Trammell to their 40-man roster, and they're not gonna add
Cody, what's his name? I couldn't hear you at all. What's his name?
Taylor Trammell.
Taylor Trammell.
We got him from the Padres last year for Austin Nola.
Nice.
I find this a little bit of interesting though that they've added him to the 40-man roster instead of Kellenic.
How old are they? How old is Trammell
They
compared
are
to?
the same age, I think. Trammell might be slightly older. Maybe Trammell's a year older. I just
Whenever
think it's odd that it's Trammell who gets the
It's just
nod to the 40-man and not Kellenic.
I think it's odd too. But then I have to take a step back and realize that the general manager for the Mariners and everything, they're in that position for a reason, and we're fans for a reason. And maybe they like Trammell more than we think. Obviously, they see him at practice every single day. Maybe they think Trammell's a little more ready, and we need him more than Kellenic. And I'm gonna trust the Mariners in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, one of them should become our starting left fielder by the middle of the season, because right now we have Jake Fraley as our starter in left field, and Seth, Drew, is he the best option for left field?
No.
All right, next we got the Huskies football coach hiring Bob Gregory as their new defensive coordinator. So.
And this is actually just a promotion. I think he was our defensive backs coach previously.
Yeah. He was a defensive backs coach.
Our old Seth, where did our old coordinator go? Was it Texas, right?
Yeah, I think he went to Texas.
Or it was like Texas A&M maybe. But it was
For
one of the
what? Head coach or what?
defensive coordinator.
But he went. Why did he go to a different?
He
school?
just picked them over us.
Yeah, I think his contract was up, so he left.
He's just done with the Huskies.
Or he decided to go. I'm not sure.
The defense is looking good this year when we were actually playing.
All right, next, number 3.
The Sounders signed goalie Spencer Ritchie to back up Stephen Fry.
Hey, that could be big if Stephen Fry gets hurt. Goalie is one of the most important positions, but unfortunately for that guy, Stephen Fry has not really missed a day. Yeah, it has not really missed a day at work in like 10 years, and it's not like Fry's going to drop off. So this is kind of irrelevant, except for, dear God, Fry doesn't get hurt. But if he does, I guess this is pretty crucial.
He is a decent. He's been decent as a backup goalie in previous years, so I feel like this is a pretty good signing to just bolster.
Yeah.
All right, number 2.
Next, we got the Seattle Storm. They're saying Sue Ward again.
No,
I think she's like 41 at this point.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're just signing her because of what she's done for the program. I mean, she probably won't start. I mean, she could still, but
she was injured for most of last year.
Yeah.
She's 40, Levi.
40, yeah. So she must be one of the oldest.
Brady can do it.
Time.
How old is LeBron James? 38.
James is 37.
I mean, She won the title, so she'll probably be starting just because of that and what she's done for the program.
Yeah.
And then
Number
Seahawks,
one.
Shane Waldron had his
Nice.
first press conference.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
saw
guys
that.
It seems like from the press conference that
Super good press
he's
conference.
very much aligned with Pete Carroll. Yeah, it was much better than some of the head coaches I've seen give their press conferences. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I watched the whole press conference. It was super good. He basically, the thing I took out of it is that he said that he wanted to implement a new, more creative offense. They were still going to run some of the same things from the old offense, but that their main focus would be implementing a new offense, and that they were going to do a lot of mixture of run and pass plays like Pete Carroll wants, but that he will have control over the offensive playing calling over Pete Carroll. And my one thing I found actually super cool is that there's going to be the first Griffey shoe. And Nike just released a Air Griffey Max 1, which is pretty sick. It's releasing on the 15th, and there's a quick picture for you guys. I don't know how to, but yeah, I mean, I think that's super, super cool. And I just think that was a cool tidbit to know. Love Griffey. So that shoe's going to retail for $200. It's going to be resold for upwards of $600. So really, really cool.
That's a nice design, yeah. And I hear
But it's
that
not even cleats. That's interesting.
I heard
No,
that
it is
he
cleat.
actually is joining the MLB leadership to be
Oh, it is a cleat.
the youth.
Yeah, it's sick.
ambassador, right? Ken Griffey going to be the youth ambassador right now for the MLB, something like that. Like his job is to promote young players to play baseball, which is great. I think it's a good
I
position.
think it is a flat-footed, actually.
Yeah,
Well, I
I don't
think-
think it's a cleat.
Yeah, I don't think it's a cleat.
Flat-foot. But yeah, anyways, cool shoe.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Seth. So, but the NBA power rankings, right?
Yeah, so we'll do the same format that we've done in the previous episode. Seth's gonna have his, and I have his lined up for us, and then Drew, and maybe me, if I feel like I have anything insightful to say, which I probably won't, will give our input as well. We're gonna have to go pretty quick through the bottom if we want to speed this episode along, and then we'll get more time to talk about the top half. So Seth, bring us in.
All right, well, NBA power rankings. This is, I think, I guess we're halfway into week 5, I think, or is it week 6? I don't even know anymore. But number 30, it's the Detroit Pistons. They're 5-15. You see Blake Griffin right there. He struggled, and Derrick Rose on the left side. Most likely he's going to get traded. So the only bright spot is Jeremy Grant, maybe an all-star. But yeah, nothing good from Timberwolves as of now. I bet Drew's probably on the same boat there, most likely.
Yeah, same.
Number 29 is Minnesota Timberwolves. Cat is now looking like he's injury-prone for his career. This is third injury in 3 years, and D'Angelo Russell's injured COVID/struggles. They're just not a good team either. The one bright spot is Anthony Edwards playing like a pretty good rookie. He's been very inconsistent, though. That is his biggest problem.
I have the same thing, but Reed is pretty promising, averaging 12 points. Yeah, looking good.
Yeah, Naz Reed from LSU is a good signing. Number 28, this is a surprising one. It's the Orlando Magic. They're 8-14 now. They're 2-8 in their last 10. And since Markelle Fultz has went down with an injury, they are now 2-10. They were 6-4 with Markelle. They're now 2-10 without Markelle Fultz. The team is going downhill. Cole Anthony's playing great basketball. Vucevic is playing great basketball. Sure, they may be in the hunt for the 8, 7 seed, 9 seed, 10 seed in the play-in tournament, but they're not going to – I don't think they'll be in the playoffs at the end of the day.
I have
Thunder. Considering that, like 3 weeks ago, I thought they were the best team, and now they are definitely a bottom 5 team. I think we all agree about that.
I have Thunder 28.
All right, well, number 27, it's the Washington Wizards. There's talks about the Bradley Beal trade. He doesn't really feel like he wants to trade, but Westbrook's playing like Westbrook again. Last night you saw him have if you maybe you didn't see him. He went off against the Brooklyn Nets with 42 points or 47, something crazy like that, a near triple double. And then tonight he had a triple double versus the Portland Trail Blazers. And Bradley Beal dropped 37. He's the league leader in scoring. So I will say Beal's prime is being wasted, and he doesn't seem like he wants out yet. But at the end of this year, come draft night, he may be getting shipped because he's got to be getting frustrated with how bad this organization's been playing. They're 4-13, downhill organization.
Well, yeah.
You have them here?
Yeah.
All right. Number 26, it's the most disappointing team in the entire league, the New Orleans Pelicans. At the start of this year, I thought this team was going to be a borderline playoff team with the star caliber of B.I. and Zion. Now, Zion's put up a whopping nearly an NBA record in field goal percentage. He has barely missed at all this year because all of the shots are in the post, which makes sense. He's Zion Williamson. He's a paint presence. But, I mean, the rest of their team, B.I. is still playing good basketball. He's playing like an all-star, puts up around 20, 23 a game. Lonzo Ball has not stepped up very much. He might get traded in the near future, maybe even any day now. There's lots of talks about Lonzo Ball trade. Eric Bledsoe has not played very good basketball. I think that Drew Holiday trade was not a good trade for them. Drew Holiday is balling for the Bucks, and Bledsoe's not doing much. Yes, they get a lot of picks, so that might come down in the future. Steven Adams was a terrible signing because that gives them no floor spacing. I'm not sure what the point of that was. The paint is so clogged with Zion and Adams. They have no stretch. They can't stretch the floor, and luckily they have Nickeil Alexander-Walker stepping up, hitting some threes here and there, but so is Josh Hart. But this team's just been so disappointing. They're now 3-7 in the last 10, 7-12 overall.
I have Magic here, so yeah.
Okay, so we have. So you had the Thunder at 27, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so up to this point we have the same team because I have Thunder now at 25. Once again, they were good they were 8-8 at a time. People were talking about them being maybe a playoff team, but at the end of the day, this team is a rebuilding team. They're 8-11. They've lost they're 8-11 in the last, or they're 3-7 in the last 10. They're 8-11 overall. They have a very bright future. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is one of the best players in the NBA, and he's been absolutely balling. They have a good young core in Teo Maledon, Pokusevski, Isaiah Roby, Lou Dort, Darius Baisley, even Shai's still pretty young, actually really young. So they have a really, really bright future with their 17 first-round picks in the next 5-6 years. So, I mean, they're definitely rebuilding. I didn't expect them to be winning lots of games, and they're trying to show me what I expected from them.
I have Pelicans here.
And for me, I actually just really quickly, I just want to point this out. Don't even ask me why, but the Thunder for me are at number 5 on my power rankings.
Oh my gosh.
Because
number 5?
they have 6 wins against teams with a record above 500, only 2 losses to
That's
teams.
That's not how power rankings work, Levi.
Well, that's how my power rankings work. They are the last outlier. By the way, guys, for those of you who have been following us, my power rankings have been terrible. This is now the last outlier. All the rest of my teams are generally in the near to right spots.
I'm not so sure about that. All right. Moving on. Number 24, the New York Knicks. Now, I still think this team could be a playoff team. They could sneak definitely into that, the play-in, the 10 or 9 seed as a play-in team in the playoffs. I mean, all those guys are shooting out there. Julius Randle has been playing great. And Emmanuel Quickly, their rookie from Kentucky, has been absolutely balling out. He's averaging like 23 a game in their last 5 games. He started against Portland where he had 30, and he's just been going off. His floater game is insane. He's not missing from the mid-range. He's playing like a rookie of the year if he keeps this up all year. But they are 4-6 in their last 10. They're dropping a couple games here and there. And Randall's still playing great basketball, which is it's good to see. Julius, maybe an all-star, but this team still – they're not a very like high caliber team. They might sneak into that play and see, like I was saying, but they're number 24. All right. Well, I think we lost Drew for a second. So I'll move on to 23. The Chicago Bulls, and the reason I have them ahead of the New York Knicks is because they beat them last night. They're 8-11. Kobe White, Markkanen, Zach LaVine, all of them are playing and having really good seasons. They keep blowing leads. They have a lot of tough losses, like in the Blazers game. They did blow a lead. They're up 5 with 11 seconds left in that game. So they have blown a couple leads now this game or this season, and they're 8-11. They could be easily 11-8. Honestly, they could have flipped this around. That's why I have them still hanging around into those 10-9 seeds to try to fight their way into the playoffs. But 23 seems reasonable. There is a lot of good teams in the East, and a lot of average teams like 8-11, 10-9, or 11-10, 10-11 in the East. So 23 seems fair for the Chicago Bulls.
I just got back. My phone died, but I have 24. I have the Kings. 23. I have the Knicks.
All right. Well, you had Kings at 24, 23 at Knicks. So I had Knicks 24, Bulls 23. Now I have 22. The Kings 9-11. Drew put 24, 22. That's all the same basically. Borderline play-in team, probably not though. Probably gonna miss out on the playoffs. De'Aaron Fox is playing great basketball, and Marvin Bagley, their rookie from 2 years ago, it might be traded. He's been really controversial. They are 4-1 in the last 5, which is why I put them up to 22. They have got a couple wins on the stretch here. They beat New Orleans last night. Fox had 40 points, career high, but 4-1 in the last 5 is why they have him hanging around 20-22 spots. So they could be lower.
Yeah, I have at 22. I actually have the Cavaliers. I have not said the Bulls yet. I actually have the Bulls at 21. But just the Cavs, yeah, they've lost 4 of their last 6. I don't know if they played tonight, but just what I've seen of them, they didn't look anything special. So,
All right, so we're basically spot on. I have 21 of the Cavs. They're 10
Yeah.
and 11. After those 2 big Nets wins, like you said, they've fallen off a little bit down the stretch. Drummond and Kevin Love are both in trade talks. Kevin Love definitely will get traded or buy out anytime soon at the buyout market. And
How
under
old is he?
Drummond, they're a rebuilding team, so I'm not really sure how well he fits with these younger guys with Sexton, Garland, and the rest of them. Isaac Okoro, the rebuilding they want to do over there. So if they keep all the guys, if they end up keeping Drummond and maybe even keeping Kevin Love, yes, they could contend for a playoff seed, definitely. But I don't see the point in doing that when you have a great young core to build around. Rebuild your team and maybe get a guy, trade up for a guy like Evan Mobley and get a dominant big man in this draft. You also have Jared Allen, so maybe you don't even need that. Get a better wing player as well. So you have a
How
bright
old
future.
is Love?
Kevin Love is like 32, I think.
So he's still got a couple of years.
Yeah, he's got a couple years. Like that's why the Lakers might trade for him or the Nets.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 32. He's 32.
Okay.
Yeah, so Cavs, I mean, you could make the playoffs, but I would say go into that reset. But, we'll see what they end up doing. All right, this is an interesting one. And for me, the Heat were a fluke last year. I know Jimmy Butler has been out. He's back. They're now 1-1 with Jimmy Butler. He had COVID for a while, which does suck. As of now, I think they're number 20, which would mean they're a borderline 9, 8, 10 seed, which have to put them into a play-in game to fight their way into the playoffs. And if they get there, I think that the experience of Jimmy Butler could put them into the playoffs pretty easily. Just for now, I think they're at 20. They could definitely turn it around in like this. They could go on a 6-game win streak, put them right back at 500 really easily. But Bam's been playing good basketball with Jimmy out. Tyler Hero has been really inconsistent, not really looking like the playoff Tyler Hero. Duncan Robinson's been pretty good on 3-ball, especially, but they have some interesting. Avery Bradley's he's playing fine defense, but he's not scoring. They have Myers Leonard for some reason. He starts some games. Kelly Olynyk has to start. They just have some question marks here in this team. Goran Dragic has been out on and off a little bit as well. So I don't know. They lost to the Hornets in overtime last night as well.
That's interesting. It's still early in the season. I haven't bought into the Heat are bad quite yet, but I do agree they have dropped a lot in since the start of the season. Most people have them as a top 5 team, and rightfully so, as of last year, but I do not have them at 20. I have the Charlotte Hornets at 20.
Yeah, they could easily prove me wrong. I will say they could go on a 6-game win streak just like that. Like you're saying, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I just think as of now, they're right here. So
I would wonder if maybe a factor in their struggle is because they're just too tired. Obviously, they played in the finals, which was only 3 months ago, as we remember. So this is still very, very early on from after those finals. They could just have the fatigue factor that the rest of these teams just don't have.
A fatigue factor from a couple months ago. That's not how it works in the NBA. You have to always be in shape to play a game every night.
Maybe, but I heard a lot of people talking about how the Lakers may have some fatigue factor this season.
No, LeBron just isn't motivated every night. That's all the Lakers' problem is. LeBron just doesn't seem to care half the game.
Yeah, well, the Lakers are clearly still really good, but maybe the Heat have struggled a little bit because of that.
Yeah, I could see that, but either way, I don't know. It's kind of not irrelevant, but at the end of the day, when the season ends, the best teams will make the playoffs. And if it's the Heat, if they're tired or whatever, then they should have gotten in better shape.
All right. Number 19. This might be my biggest stretch. Now, I'm not saying this team will not make the playoffs. I still believe this team will turn it around very easily and make the playoffs. But as of now, if they keep this play up, they will be fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Because KP comes back from injury, and he's been awful. He's not shooting the ball well at all, except one good game. His turnovers are insane. He's not shooting the ball well at all. He's not playing the post game. He can't play defense. So he's basically a liability for this Dallas Mavericks team. He's on the floor, which is not good. And then the other bad thing about this team is the ISO ball that they play with Luka. They are utilizing Luka Doncic like the Houston Rockets used James Harden in the last 5 years. They give him the ball, and half the time they put shooters in the corners, and Luka just dribbles around and tries to do something. And yes, that works sometimes, and that's why he has great stats. But the style of play is not getting them wins. It's not letting them get back on defense fast enough. If Luka misses a shot, that's the possession. It's over. You don't have a guy in the paint to help you there. They rarely ever run pick and rolls. They barely ever run set plays. It's mostly Luka Doncic in the ISO ball kicking out to the wings. And yes, he does get assists because of the kickouts. Richardson hitting the shots. But they need help from KP. And they need to probably figure out how to run a better offense than the Luka ISO ball, because I don't think that can win a championship.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point that you made. High school basketball is all about running plays and getting your guys open and, not having one star player do everything. And I think the Mavericks have to take a page out of that book. I think they got to get back to some fundamental, let's do play 2, do play 6, whatever, get guys open shots that isn't just Luka Doncic driving into the paint and kicking it out for a perimeter 3. With that being said, I do think the Mavericks are better than 19 purely because of Luka Doncic. I actually have slightly controversial, and this is just because they're young, and I don't know if they have it in them to go the distance, and I have the Antonio Spurs.
That's okay. I'm fine with Spurs here, and like you said, I agree with you. The Mavericks are better than this. This is what I've seen from them in this play. I think 19 for now. They will go up 100%. I couldn't guarantee they'll move up in my power rankings. Just I don't like what I'm seeing from them because Rick Carlisle is a smart enough coach to figure out how to run an offense, and he's not doing that.
Yeah.
All right. The Toronto Raptors, they have turned it around quite a bit. Freddie VanVleet dropped a Toronto Raptors record, 54 points today, breaking DeMar DeRozan's record of 52. He is now the most points ever by an undrafted player as well. He broke 2 big NBA records tonight in an insane game. He hit 11 threes. He didn't miss a free throw. He missed like 7 shots all night. And they've turned it around. They're now 9-13. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Siakam is starting to play well. VanVleet has been the number 1 option. He's been playing great basketball. Kyle Lowry is taking the leadership role, more of the playmaking, Chris Paul type of role, like he's doing for the Suns this year, where he's playmaking, he's playing defense, and he's getting the ball to VanVleet, and Siakam's getting the ball in the post. And finally, Aaron Baines has started playing center a little bit better, and Chris Boucher, another huge piece for them at the center position. Their centers are starting to step up a lot. They turned it around. They're going to be a playoff team at the end of the season. I have them at 18. They're going to keep climbing up and up on power rankings.
18, I have the Atlanta Hawks. That's just because I don't think Trae Young is appropriately valued in the NBA. He's super, super good, but I don't think he is good enough to carry a playoff team into the playoffs. And I don't know. Hunter is playing pretty good, the rookie, but something about it. I just have second year. Okay, well, yeah, they moved up to get him at 4, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was the previous year. Okay. Either way, the Hawks could surprise me and still make the playoffs, but I have them here.
All right. Well, I have the Hawks pretty close after, but I got one more team between the Hawks, and this is one of my sleeper picks to make a playoffs. This team is super young. It has veteran leadership in Gordon Hayward, and they had a big one over the Heat in overtime. LaMelo Ball started his first game of the year, and Gordon Hayward is playing like he can be a number 1 option on a playoff team. And if Gordon Hayward's dropping 40 a night, which is he's dropping on 24 a game, which is Gordon Hayward type of numbers. Finally, Devontae Graham turns it around. They're a very well-rounded team. They have shooters on the bench. Devontae Graham is starting to hit his shots, which is a good sign. You have another shooter there. If LaMelo's starting, he can give you the playmaking. He can maybe hit a couple shots a game. He can throw the lobs to Bridges. Washington, they can hit their shots as well. Also, is catching the lobs. Gordon Hayward is a great ISO player, and he also is a fine playmaker. And you have Terry Rozier running the offense when LaMelo's out of the game. He can play make and shoot shots. So this team is a very well-rounded built team. Now, this is probably not the year to make a deep playoff run, but this is a huge step in the right direction for the Charlotte Hornets, a young team. They're doing it right over there. And I think they'll be in the playoffs at the end of this year.
What are we at, 16?
Yeah.
And just to remind everyone, I did
17.
say that the teams that passed on LaMelo were going to regret it. Right now, LaMelo
Yeah, you're right.
Favorite to win Rookie of
Well,
the Year.
I don't think Golden State's regretting it because they didn't really need LaMelo.
Well, whoever else passed on him will definitely.
The Timberwolves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves will be regretting it.
Yeah.
All right.
17, really quickly, I have the Raptors here. Seth's already said that, so.
Okay, Drew talked about the Hawks a little bit. I disagree. I think Trae Young can lead a team to a championship, especially when he hits 10 threes a night and puts 40 on the board. And if John Collins and him are playing with chemistry, they're throwing lobs to each other, Collins is playing great basketball, then this team actually has a chance at going to maybe getting better than even an 8 seed, getting a 7 or 6 seed. They're 10-10. Trae Young is starting to play great. They're fully healthy. Gallinari's back. Rajon Rondo's in the lineup now. And Drew said DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish are both playing like great rookies. They're last year's picks, number 4 and number 10, I think, or was it number 8? They're both playing like good. They're both playing shooters. They're hitting the corner shots. They're just popping out for the 3-point line, and they're also playing defense. That's what they were drafted for, 3-and-D type of players. And this team has a chance of making a playoff run. I think this is a very good Hawks team, and I think they're 1 year away if they can retain Collins, if they don't end up trading him, from making maybe a finals.
Yeah.
Wow.
16.
From Seth, 1 year away from finals.
I said maybe.
Cody, do you want to say a parting word? Because you have to go here.
No, Cody will stay for a little bit longer.
I can stay. Just keep it in the power rankings.
Okay, so we can hurry this up really quickly. At 16, I have the Mavericks here, and that's just because I like Luka.
All right, number 15. I talk about the Blazers a lot. We're 11-9 now after beating the Wizards tonight by quite a bit, or not only by 11, but we did. It was more of a dominant win than that. But the main story is our terrible defense and our injuries. On a road trip, we're now 1-3. Dame's putting up 30 a night, second in the league in scoring. And just the awful defense that we have. We can't play paint defense, and our fast break defense is horrendous. Terry Stotts is an awful coach. I mean, if you want to hear my full breakdown on why the Wizards are bad, go to. You can watch it on my channel, or maybe I'll put a bit. Even the one last Friday that I put on this channel. I talk about the reason that we're playing bad defense and injuries as well. I mean, I know injuries are a big part in basketball, and I can't make excuses about injuries. We should be winning games over the. We should be beating the Knicks. We didn't. We did beat the Knicks. We should be beating the Thunder, which we didn't. We should be beating the Rockets, which we didn't. And the Bucks, I don't expect us to win that game with all these guys injured, but I still think that this team has a lot of work to do, and we're not doing it. And the road trip's looking bad. We finally pulled out a win today against Wizards, and that's a fine win, but Dame is playing great. We just need to really step up on that defense side of the ball. We need to fire Terry Stotts. I know it won't happen. He'll get another excuse as the injury card, and we'll have to wait a whole other year losing the first round like we always do.
15, I have the Heat. Jimmy Butler just came back from his COVID thing that missed 10 games.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Heat. And yeah, guys, go to Couve Hoops for a more intense, more in-depth breakdown of the Blazers games. Personally, I love watching it. It's Seth's channel. Yeah, go to Couve Hoops. It'll be in the description down below.
You haven't seen the Blazers yet, have you?
What, me?
Yeah. You have them higher?
No, I've not seen the Blazers yet. No.
Oh, okay. You said the Spurs already. You talked about they being a young team. Yeah, they are very young. I have them at 14. They're 11-10.
Yeah.
I mean, they play really well. I agree. They don't have the experience. Yeah, they have DeRozan and Aldridge. Maybe they could lead them, but Keldon Johnson's playing great basketball, and Popovich is a great coach. So they'll be in the playoffs.
14, I have the Rockets. Still haven't said the Blazers. I'll let you talk more about the Rockets, but I just don't see that little spark in them that I see in the Blazers. I think Blazers have a higher potential to get hot and win against good teams than the Rockets do.
Okay, I'll agree with that. 100%.
Yeah.
I think the Blazers have a high potential, especially when we're fully healthy. But
yeah,
the Rockets have the spark that I disagree with the spark part. The Blazers they're playing with no energy right now. The Rockets are playing with the spark. They're playing like a scrappy defensive. They're playing great defense, best defense in the Western Conference right now. John Wall is playing like Wizards John Wall before the ACL tear. Vintage John Wall. Oladipo is playing great basketball, and Christian Wood is locking down the defensive side of the ball. And
I was going to touch on Christian Wood. Christian Wood's really surprised me. Having my fantasy team, he's super, super good. He's pretty surprising. I don't know. I just don't think they have that superstar. I'm not going to say John Wall's a superstar yet, like Dame is, and that's why I give the Blazers an edge.
Well, John Wall will never be a superstar anymore. He's too old. He's already older than Dame by 2 years.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Him and Oladipo, though, are playing like a great backcourt. And if Wood can stay in this all-star form, and as you guys know, they're 7-3 since the Harden trade. They are better than the Nets since the Harden trade. They've outplayed the Nets in record-wise. I guess they're tied. The next one tonight, so they're now 7-3 as well. So, I mean, they're playing really well. This team is working. The defense side of the ball is there, and everything's touching right now. They beat the Blazers. They've won a couple in a row. And they're rolling. I think this team could end up being a really, really good, they could roll into the playoffs hot, and maybe they can win a series or two. Okay. And as of now, if the season ended now, of course the Blazers wouldn't win a series because they have no injuries. But once the Blazers do get healthy, I agree they probably are better than the Rockets. But what I've seen, I just get really frustrated watching this suck at defense. So that's why I have the Rockets ahead of the Blazers. And then I missed number 13 because I was talking about the Rockets. I had the Memphis Grizzlies. Since Ja's return, they're 6-2. They're one of the most balanced teams in the entire NBA league. They have shooters around Ja, and Ja can play make like he does. He's a facilitator, and he's also a dunker. If Ja can get that three-point stroke down, this team can be lethal. Dylan Brooks on the right there playing great basketball, as well as Kyle Anderson's been a huge surprise for this team. And no Jaren Jackson still, which when he gets him back, that'd be even bigger.
13, I have the Grizzlies as well.
Yeah, okay, so we agree there. Nice. So 12, I had the Rockets. Who'd you have?
Blazers.
All right,
There I
Blazers at
have
12,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we've already
What's
had
your
this
reasoning?
debate.
Like, do
We've
you
already had this
think the
debate.
injuries or?
We've already talked about why we think the Blazers.
Blazers.
No, I want to hear Drew.
Really quickly, Blazers again. I just love Dame. Obviously, you have you have CJ. It's just I feel like they just have more just superpower behind them than these other teams I've listed before them. And I do
Okay,
think
so you're basically ranking this off like towards once CJ's back. You think they'll be this good?
yeah, exactly. That's the one like faulty argument
Okay.
is that
Well, for
they
me,
do
I'm
have their
really faulty.
injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have injuries.
Okay, yeah. Basically, for me as a Blazers fan, I've cut out injuries. I don't even act like players are injured. I just think that we're doing bad. And once we get players back, then they'll keep moving up, which will happen. That will happen for me.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, number 11, the Indiana Pacers. Brogdon's putting up all-star numbers. Sabonis is playing great basketball. They have a couple injury problems with TJ Warren out for a while. Now Karis LeVert, once he got traded, kidney problems, he had to get surgery. Luckily for him, he had to go get a physical, and that's maybe saved his life. So that's lucky. Prayers up to Karis LeVert. I think the surgery went well. And when he's back, the team could be lethal. They're 12-9. They're playing good basketball, and they're borderline top 10 team.
Funny enough, I've actually watched the Pacers more than any other team in the NBA this year, which is really, really odd. They just ended on TV a lot when I've been watching the NBA. But I agree. Pacers are at 11. They're a really interesting team. I could see them actually going deep into the playoffs, be a surprise run. But right now, they're not playing the best. So I have them at 11 too.
Yeah, they've dropped for me over the last couple of weeks.
All right, let's jump to the number 10.
Top 10.
All right, I got the Golden State Warriors. They didn't end up losing tonight, I think, to the Boston Celtics, which it's a tough. They lost by 4, 111 to 107 in a close game to Boston Celtics. So I guess they're now 11-9. And Curry's playing like an MVP numbers. He's carrying this team as much as he possibly can. James Wiseman's starting to step up, and so is Andrew Wiggins. They need those guys to have production every night. The only way they're winning games when Curry drops 30, and if Wiggins and Wiseman don't put up over 15 and Oubre continues to suck, then they're not going to win games. They really need to start. The role players need to step up. Players need to step up, and they're starting to do that, which is why they're moving up.
Kind of counterintuitive, but I actually have the Celtics that just beat the Warriors at 10. I just really like that. Obviously, you have Steph Curry. He can get hot at any time, and they can beat anyone in the league if Steph Curry plays like an MVP every night. Will he play like an MVP every night? Will he play like an MVP every night? Probably not. That's why I don't have him even higher. But I think the people are going to be surprised about how good the Golden State Warriors are going to be in the playoffs down the stretch. I think they have a great shot at taking out a big dog or two if Steph Curry gets hot.
Yeah, okay, I agree. That's a good take. And then number 9, I have the Celtics right there, and they're dropping a little bit. They've lost a couple here and there. They're 10-8 now, a couple COVID problems, and Kemba Walker's back, and he's struggling. And there's already trade talks about Kemba. He's not a good fit for this team. He doesn't have leadership. He can't pass the ball. So they want him. They might end up shipping him to get maybe a defensive-minded point guard that can pass the ball better than Kemba. And because you saw Kemba's first game back, he was 1 for 11, and he bricked a game winner. I'm not sure how good he did tonight. We'll check his stats, but that is a little concern. If Kemba Walker isn't playing good basketball, then this team could be, I don't know, they could be in trouble. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are still super, super good. They could carry this team more than Kemba could. So I think they're still a very good team, even if they trade Kemba Walker.
Yes.
Kemba ended with 19 points today. He shot the ball better. So it has a good sign for them.
He only was 3.3 for 9, though. So I'd like to see him make a few more 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And of course, Tatum and Brown are all-stars, of course.
I just switched it. I have Warriors at 9. 8, I have the Suns.
8, you have Suns? Me too.
Okay, Ethan can talk about them. Go ahead.
I mean, okay, I guess. The one thing is Chris Paul starting to get buckets, which is helping this team. If Chris Paul's scoring 30 a night, you're not beating the Suns. I can confidently say that. If Chris Paul and Booker both score 30, which is what they've done the last couple games, Booker hit a game winner against the Mavericks. Before we saw this team, Chris Paul was putting up like 12 and 12, which is still a good game. He's being a leader. But if he's putting up 30 and 12, you're not beating this team. I'm sorry.
Yeah, pretty surprising. You look at Chris Paul and you say to a random NBA, like a random fan of basketball that knows nothing about Chris Paul, and you ask how old does he look like he's playing on the court, he looks like he's about 27, 28. He's looking really, really good. And he's 35 years old.
Yeah.
I would just be super happy if I'm a Suns fan. I agree. If Chris Paul puts up 30 points and 10 assists, you're not beating this team. Chris Paul also is kind of reinventing the not like fadeaway jumper, but the angled jumper.
Yeah, he is.
So that his height, he angles it back a little bit so that he can get over the defenders. Defenders have to close a farther gap, which I think is super interesting. And yeah, good for the Suns. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, it's magical down there.
And then one more thing is their two
Yeah, go
wings, Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, have been playing great basketball as well.
Yeah, this team is scary. Would not be surprised if this team made a run too.
Yeah, I can see that.
So clearly, Drew just thinks that every team has a chance.
I want to say everything team has a chance. I think that the Suns, not the Celtics, I think the Suns, the Warriors, and the Blazers have a really good shot at upsetting some really good teams. Teams like the 76ers, Clippers, just because
I think the Blazers could be a big upset team as well, but just as of now, I just don't like what I see from them.
Yeah.
All right, let's move.
All right, number 7. These are probably my clear top 7 teams in the NBA as of now, and the Milwaukee Bucks start that one off. They are 4-4 in their last 8 points, or in their last 8 games. They're now 12-8 overall, and they lost to the Nets and the Lakers this week, which shows me that they're not as top as I thought they were. Yeah, they're probably still gonna be a top. Maybe the Nets will be a little. Oh, time, Levi. Maybe the Nets will be ahead of the Bucks, but I think the Bucks will still be right there with the Sixers and the Nets atop the East. And Giannis' free throw shooting is a little bit of a problem. If he might become a Shaq, you hack a Giannis at the end of the game and he misses a free throw, which that would suck if Giannis is going to be one of those guys that just can't make a free throw. He's got to work on his shot a little bit more. And he's putting up some weird numbers. Like in a blowout win over the Blazers, he puts up 16 and 10, shooting the ball only 8 times. Like I guess it's because they're blowing him out, so it doesn't really matter as much. But still, interesting stuff over there. And I think another problem with the Bucks is their coach, Mike Budenholzer, is not going to be a coach in championship team. I'm sorry. Mike Budenholzer is a fine coach. He just doesn't have the right defensive mind to get a team to a championship playing defense. And I think that's the problem with the Bucks team.
Yeah, I have 7. I have at 7, I have the Nets actually, which might seem a little low, but there's so much superpower there that I almost think that there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Although if they get chemistry worked out, which they have actually been doing.
Have you watched the Nets game?
I'm kind of doubting myself with 7 Nets, to be honest.
Have you watched one yet?
Yeah, I have watched one
Okay.
game. I forget who it was, but I think it was like the second game Harden was playing or something. It was. I don't even know if Kyrie was playing that game. I have not watched much Nets games, to be honest with you. So this could be off, but I have Nets at 7. I just think there's so many superpower there. I don't know. These teams are all really good.
Yeah. When I get to the Nets, I'll talk a little bit more because I have watched like 5 straight Nets games now. I've basically watched them more than any team besides the Blazers, basically. So moving on, number 6, the Denver Nuggets. They're on a roll. Nikola Jokic is in my opinion, the MVP front runner right now if the season ended today, putting up insane numbers. And we saw them beat a super duper hot Utah Jazz, who for some reason I still have ahead of the Nuggets. I guess it's just for the record. But Nuggets and Jazz are right next to it for me. They beat the Utah Jazz, who were an 11-game win streak, by 12. And Jokic had 47 points, a career high, and 12 rebounds. I mean, if he's putting up 47, 12, and 6, this man cannot be stopped. He's playing like an MVP, and they got shooters looking better. Jamal starting to turn it around, and this team is scary good.
I love me some good Nikola Jokic, and just like you saw last year in the bubble, when Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray play well together, they're super, super scary. I don't have the Nuggets quite yet. I have them at 5, but at 6, I have the Bucks. So that's my 5 to 6.
Yeah, there's Jokic right there. In my opinion, him and another man that I'll get to my list in a second are the MVP. Actually, I don't know. I think I have a pretty clear top 3 for just in my opinion. But Nikola Jokic, I'd say if the season ended today, was the MVP. But we're only a third of the way through, so I can't talk about that yet. Moving on, number 5, the Utah Jazz. They were an 11-game win streak. Right, or Cody, you got any thoughts on the Nuggets? Cody, you love the Nuggets.
they're playing really well. I mean, Jokic putting up MVP levels. He gets so many triple doubles, and I think he's had a double double in every single game.
Wow.
I
Cody,
mean,
do you think Jokic right now is the front runner for MVP?
I wouldn't say, in my opinion, I would say front runner, but I don't think many other people do.
Yeah. There's quite a few people that agree with us. Jokic is probably the front runner right now.
Nice. Cody, do you
Yeah, I
prefer
agree
watching
as well.
Jamal Murray more or Jokic? Who's your
Jokic,
favorite
100%. He's the
Jokic,
funnest player to
yeah.
watch in the league.
I mean,
He's so
Is
fun
it-
to watch.
Bubble
Yeah.
Jamal was really fun to watch, but that's not anymore.
The
I
things that
love
Jokic
his
does with his
little-
eyes and his arms and his passing is just
I
insane.
know. I love
This
his
is-
little fadeaway jumper where his hook, his shots like he goes like it's so good. Yeah, Cody picked a good team to root for other than the Blazers. The Nuggets are a super fun team to watch.
All
For
right.
Cody's sake and just because I love Nikola Jokic, I hope they do good. I'm rooting for them.
Okay, well, I know that this Nuggets just beat them, but they are on an 11-1 tear. They were the best team in basketball about a day ago. Now they're half game out from that. The Utah Jazz, they're 15-6 overall. They're 11-1 in their
right?
last 12. Rudy Gobert, without Donovan Mitchell, they still won their 4 games in that 11-game run. Gobert put up a career high 28 points. One of those games, played great basketball back on the defense side of the ball. Donovan Mitchell came back. Yes, he did lose to Jokic, but he still put up great numbers. He's playing great, like an all-star. And just the shooting on this team, they're the best three-point shooting team in the entire league. I can say that with confidence. They've hit over 23s in almost every single one of their games this year. They have Bogdanovich hitting threes, Royce O'Neal hitting threes, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson on the bench hitting threes. The team is so built around Mitchell and Gobert. It's just perfect. This team works. And this is maybe one of my picks to go to. This might be my – I don't know. I still think Lakers and Clippers are slightly better, but this is just such a good basketball team over in Utah they have going on.
Yeah, just to double, I have the Utah Jazz, and something I find super interesting is they have the most three-pointers made this season, and they are second in percentage in the last 12 games behind the Clippers in three-point percentage.
Wow.
And usually when you shoot a lot of three-pointers, your average does slightly go down, but that just doesn't seem to be the case for the Jazz. They're shooting a lot, and they're making a lot. And it's a pretty healthy formula when you have a team that can consistently make three-pointers. So good for the Jazz. I think they're, fourth best team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree. All right,
Cody-
number 4,
The Jazz.
I have the New York or the Brooklyn. Wait, are you talking to that?
I was just saying I like to root for the Jazz because I like their name, the Jazz. I'm a jazz musician.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Do you know why they're called the Jazz?
They used to play from New Orleans, right?
Okay, yeah. That's
Number
just
4.
weird. They should have kept New Orleans to the Jazz. I don't know. All right, moving on. Number 4, the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I have watched a lot of straight Nets games. Probably too much Nets games.
On TV. They put them on TV every. I mean, you agree? They're on TV every night, right, Seth?
That's not true. Not national TV.
I see them on TV all the time.
Well, you saw them on tonight. I think that's why. Well, but in their last 4 games, or in their last 6 games, after those Cavs losses, they're 6-0. They came out, they beat the Heat, they beat the Heat again, they beat the Hawks, they beat the Thunder. No, never mind. They're 5-1. They beat the Thunder. Tough loss last night or Sunday, and they bounced back today with their biggest win of the season, in my opinion. And they started off with Harden. They won 2 straight. Then they played together against the Cavs, and the big 3, the Cavs pull it out twice in a row. And I was like, will this work? And they come out, they beat the Heat. They put up 128 points. All 3 of them have great games. Harden now has 5 triple-doubles in his first 8 games with the Brooklyn Nets, which is crazy. Harden is playmaking like he never has before. He's taking a step back, scoring the ball. There's been games where he shot the ball 10 times. If you ever thought about James Harden shooting the ball 10 times with Houston, you'd be called stupid and crazy because he never did that. He shot the ball 30 times a game. Now he's taking a step back and he's playing team basketball.
So just to I have the Milwaukee Bucks. I love Giannis. I think he's the best player in the league. I think he deserves the number 4 spot. But it looks like me and Seth both have the same top 3 teams. The 76ers, Clippers, and Lakers in their respective order. Just to incorporate Cody and Levi, out of those 3 teams, Levi and Cody, what are your top 3 teams really quickly? Just list them off.
Well,
Out of the
my
76ers?
actual top 3 is none of those 3, but out of those 3, I would say the Clippers are the best, followed by Lakers, then 76ers.
What's your number 1 team, just for fun, Levi?
The Denver Nuggets.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, not super, like, it's fine. What's, Cody, what's out of those 3 teams, what do you have? Lakers, Clippers, and 76ers.
Oh, out of those 3 teams?
Yeah.
Oh, Lakers are first. Wait,
Really? Still?
Clippers are second.
Yeah.
And 76ers are third. But in my personal opinion, it would be Nuggets are third.
Nice.
All right.
Which team falls out of the top 3?
The 76ers.
The 76ers at 4?
I think
Yeah.
the Clippers will fall out of the top 3. The Clippers have been playing so well lately. They're my number 1 team right now, but they just lost to the Nets tonight in one of the best games of the entire year. Such a fun game to watch. Then I'll talk about them in a second. I'm going to talk about number 3. Have the Los Angeles Lakers. They are 16-6. Now, losing Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, I think, really hurt this team because they don't have a dominant big man anymore. Now, Montrezl Harrell is a small big man. He's only 6'8", and he's a bench player as well. AD does not play like a dominant big anymore. He plays like he's he plays like he's a playmaker, not a playmaker, like a shooting big sometimes. He'll dribble the court, he'll do a step back, and then he'll either make a mid-range or shoot a fadeaway 3 sometimes. AD needs to go to the paint more often. Now, LeBron, he plays great nearly every night. He puts up insane stats. Just there's some nights where he looks like he just doesn't want to play. He's just out there just because he wants to be. And I know he loves the game of basketball, but some nights it just feels he's not motivated enough. And he knows when he gets to the playoff time, he can dominate anybody. So I think that's just the one thing. He's just resting himself a little bit here and there. But I do think hurting the big man did hurt. I'm not sure why Rajon Rondo's on that picture and Kyle Kuzma. Interesting that those are the 2 guys. And another struggle is Marc Gasol, who is also not a big man anymore. He's now a 3-point shooter, and he's sucked so far this year. And then they brought in a lot of guys. Schroeder's played well on the bench or in the starting lineup, and Caruso stepped up a lot, as well as Talon Horton-Tucker, THT, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So I think they're still a top 3 team for sure, and they'll probably be number 1 next week. I'd bet money. I'd probably bet the number 1 next week, or maybe in 2 weeks they'll be back in the number 1 spot.
Yeah. I would disagree with that. I think the 2 LA teams are still the top 2 teams in the league. I have the Philadelphia 76ers at 3. Tobias Harris is playing out of his mind. He's shooting 51% from the field, averaging a career high 20 points a game. But, I mean, this isn't about why the 76ers are at 3, and more so the Clippers and the Lakers are just so good. Although, obviously love the 76ers. I'm rooting for my boy from Washington. Go Dogs. Tybal. I don't actually know how he's doing. Seth.
He's getting bench minutes as a defensive wing.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's playing.
Either way, yeah, good. I mean, he's a defensive guy. He's never gonna go down to the G League or whatever because he brings a great defensive presence. But yeah, Philadelphia 76ers. Love him, but I'm gonna have to put him at 3. I think the Lakers are just. I'll get to the Lakers later.
This is
all right. Well,
here though. Also,
on the Sixers, yeah, Tobias Harris has played great, but that's not the story. The story is Joel Embiid playing like a freaking MVP. He's playing out of his absolute mind, putting up 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, a steal a game, shooting the ball super efficient. He's hitting the 3-ball well. He's not really missing free throws. He's doing everything this team has asked for, and he's playing like he is. In my opinion, he's a top MVP candidate right there with Kevin Durant and Nikola Jokic. Those are my top 3. I know LeBron and Giannis will always be up in talks as well.
But Nikola Jokic is averaging 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists.
I know.
Plus a steal, so.
That's why I have the Jokic as the front runner, but Joel Embiid is right there with him.
Yeah.
And I guess I focus more on Tobias Harris than Joel Embiid just because I watched the Sunday game, Pacers versus 76ers.
Because he didn't play, that's why.
Really fun game. And yeah, Tobias Harris had 27 points, led that team to a win. Joel Embiid didn't play.
Well, it's because Joel didn't play that day.
No, I know. That's just why I focused on Tobias.
Tobias played really great.
Tobias I agree. Joel Embiid, definitely the best player on that team. He's really gone ahead of Ben Simmons, I guess. It was for a while. It was kind of not who's better, but they were both kind of the stars of the show. It's definitely Joel Embiid.
But here's the main thing with this team. They figured out finally with Dockers as new coach. They finally figured out how to build a team, and Dale Moore is their GM, who's been one of the best GMs in the league. to build a team around Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons fits that as well. When you have Ben Simmons who's out there only having to score 12 points a game, Ben Simmons isn't really a scorer. That's not his primary thing. He's a defender and he's a playmaker. And if he only has to score 12 and they're winning games because of Toby and Joel putting up absolute buckets and Seth Curry hitting threes and Thibault hitting threes and everyone just stepping up, that's great. Last year, they didn't Danny Green, or now they have Danny Green. They didn't have all these shooters. All they had was Josh Richardson. They added Danny Green, who's super efficient from the three-point line. Seth Curry shooting the ball great. And that's just asking Ben Simmons is just out there to make and play defense, and that's all he needs to do, and they're winning games. So Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid are scoring the ball, and they're winning these games because of it. They built the system around him.
I think he leads the league or close to leading the league in assists.
Ben Simmons?
Wow. That's an interesting stat. I would not think that, but
he's a playmaker. Yeah. He's a playmaker. Yeah.
So Seth has 76ers at 2. I have the Clippers at 2. Seth has the Clippers at 1, but I mean Kawhi Leonard, he's an arguable MVP candidate too. He's playing really, really well.
Yes.
Averaging 26 points a game. And they have the LA Clippers have won 10 out of their last 11 as of Monday. I don't know what happened.
They lost to Brooklyn tonight. They're now 10-2.
Okay, so they're 10 in their last 12.
Ben Simmons is 7th in assists per game.
Yeah, he has 8 assists a game.
Either way, that's really, really good. But just back to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, always loved him. Play like an MVP, and Clippers are really good.
Yeah. So Clippers have played great basketball. The shooting on this team is, like Drew said, they're the highest. I think the highest volume shooting team. They shot the most, and maybe the highest percentage. Nicholas Batum's been a huge shooting part, and Paul George is playing the best basketball. Yes, I think he's playing better than he ever has in his career this season. He's back to Paul George form. And then, of course, Kawhi is out there for his defense, plus his 26 points a game, MVP candidate type numbers. And then another huge addition to this team is Serge Ibaka hammering down the paint, and that's been huge. He's filled Montrezl Harrell's role perfectly or better, and now Zubac is the new sixth man / Montrezl Harrell on the bench. And still you got Lou Williams, you got Luke Kennard on the bench for shooting. Just everything's fitting with this team. Now I will say tonight, they as good of a defensive team as they are, they had no Patrick Beverley. They still give up 125 points to the best offensive team in the league, in my opinion, the Brooklyn Nets. But I still think that they could have beat this game against the Nets, and this is making me think the Nets might be the number 1 team as of next week. They're on a absolute tear, 6-1. But I feel when I made this, I had them at number 1, and even after tonight, I still think they're number 1 team in the NBA.
Number 1 team are the Lakers, and yes, it is. They have not won as many games as the previous 2 teams we talked about, but
they're only half a game behind. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but LeBron James, he's gonna turn it on when it's all said and done. LeBron James, he doesn't need to play 100% right now, and I know usually you want to go 100% all the time, but this guy is pretty old in NBA terms. And bottom line, if you're a Lakers fan, you would rather have LeBron James at 100% of the playoffs than go 100% right now. So I'm not concerned about the Lakers. I still think they're the best team in the league. Caruso proved his worth as a really good rotational player. He had a great game-saving block against the Celtics. I saw that. That was super cool. Sprinted back on defense after LeBron James had a crucial turnover. It looked like it was going to be a clear layup, but Caruso sprinted back and got that block. They have some great pieces, and yeah, love the Lakers. So that's our power rankings.
Yeah, can I just touch on the Lakers for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
They have had 2 pretty big games against 2 good teams. They held out a game against the Celtics where they did not play offense well, but they did play some defense. And then against the 76ers, the Sixers did expose them, and they put up a lot of points, and they locked them down a little bit, which was an interesting sight to see. That's why I have the Sixers ahead of the Lakers, just because of that. That's one more reasoning. And then, like you said, LeBron will turn up in the playoffs, and he is old, so I think that's 100% agree. And then LeBron James getting heckling with the fans last night at courtside caring.
Oh, I saw that.
That was cool. That was pretty funny.
There was a girl yelling at him. Yeah.
Yeah, I love trash talking LeBron.
And then she made like an Instagram post afterward. I was like, "F you, LeBron."
I know.
All right.
You're getting all pissed. Levi and Cody, what are your number 1 teams?
Nuggets.
Nuggets.
And why?
That's fair. Lakers they're all around dominant,
Yeah.
I chose the Nuggets because all their losses have been to teams that are above 500, except for one, which means that they're only losing to good teams. They are literally beating all the other bad teams. Plus, they have won like 7 in a row against teams that do have a record of above 500. To me, that's a clear #1 team.
Yeah. All right, so
Clear. Okay.
let's wrap this up. Yeah, that's any power rankings. This is our full episode for NW Sportscast.
Leave a like.
Leave a like, subscribe, comment who's gonna win the Super Bowl, and yeah.
And give all.
Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Peace.